I frantically stuff Olivia's favorite purple dinosaur into her overnight bag, wedging my phone between my ear and shoulder as I zip the compartment closed. Mom, I can't thank you enough for this. The presentation is huge. It could mean everything for my career. I double-checked the list on my phone. Pajamas, toothbrush, comfort blanket, extra clothes, favorite stuffed animal. The litany of toddler necessities for just one night away feels endless. Daniel appears in the doorway of Olivia's room, tapping his watch. Jess, we need to go. Traffic's already building up. I nod, mouthing 1 minute as my mother's voice crackles through the phone. Of course, Jessica. Family comes first, I've always said that. There's a note of something in her voice I can't quite place, but I brush it aside. After 6 years of financial support, surely one night of babysitting isn't too much to ask. We'll be there in 20 minutes, I promise. Ending the call and shoving my phone into my pocket. Daniel hefts the diaper bag over his shoulder. Everything okay? Perfect, I assure him, scooping up our sleeping toddler from her playmat. Her warm weight against my chest steadies my racing heart. Mom will help. She always does when it really matters. The drive to my parents' suburban home fills me with a familiar mixture of hope and unease. Golden afternoon light filters through oak trees lining their street as Daniel pulls into the driveway. In the rearview mirror, Olivia's peaceful face reminds me why tonight matters so much. The promotion would mean better preschool options, a college fund that actually grows, stability. Ready? Daniel squeezes my hand, his eyes reflecting the same determination I feel. I nod, slipping out of the car to unbuckle Olivia while Daniel grabs her overnight bag. My mother opens the front door before we reach it. Her smile freezes when her gaze lands on Olivia's pink duffel bag. What's this? My mother's voice drops several degrees. Mom? Confusion knots in my stomach. Olivia's things for tonight, remember? My presentation? My mother's arms cross tightly over her chest. Jessica, we are not your babysitters. We already raised our kids. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stand rooted to the spot, Olivia drowsily lifting her head from my shoulder. Daniel freezes beside me, overnight bag dangling from his hand. But we talked about this. You said... I said we'd talk about it, my mother cuts in sharply. Not that we'd do it. A burst of children's laughter erupts from inside the house. I step forward, pushing past my mother's attempt to block the doorway. Who's that? Jessica, this isn't a good time. But I'm already inside, following the sound to the living room, where the scene before me causes my breath to catch. My father kneels on the carpet, building a tower of blocks with my sister Haley's 2 children. Haley herself lounges on the couch, scrolling through her phone, barely acknowledging our arrival. What's going on? My voice sounds distant to my own ears. My father looks up, a flicker of guilt crossing his face before he smooths it away. Jessica, didn't know you were stopping by. Haley doesn't even look up. Mom and Dad are watching the boys tonight. I have a killer headache and needed some rest. 6 years of financial support flashed through my mind like a highlight reel. 6 years of $1,600 monthly payments. 6 years of just until we get back on our feet. Years of declined invitations to Olivia's birthday because they were too busy. My first big paycheck at 22 Me Mother's casual request for grocery money. My promotion dinner where they ordered champagne and lobster. The monthly car insurance I've covered for years, while Haley contributed nothing. All of it crystallizes in this single shattering moment. Daniel steps beside me, his presence solid and grounding. His hand finds the small of my back, a gesture we've developed over years of family disappointments. A silent, I'm here. I see this too. Olivia reaches toward her grandmother, innocent to the rejection. Gamma! I adjust my grip on my daughter, tucking her closer to my chest. When I speak, my voice emerges with a steadiness that surprises me. I understand now. The clarity feels almost euphoric, cutting through years of fog. I've always been your bank, not your daughter. My mother's face flushes. Don't be dramatic, Jessica. This isn't about money. No, it's about value. And clearly, I only have value when I'm paying your bills. I turn to Daniel, who's already gathering Olivia's bag. No words needed. The ride home passes in weighted silence. I stare out the window at suburban houses sliding past, each one containing families with their own hidden dynamics, their own unspoken agreements. Daniel's hand finds mine across the center console, a bridge in the quiet. As we pull into our driveway, something shifts inside me. The hurt remains, a throbbing wound that will need tending. But beneath it, Something stronger takes root, a clarity of purpose I haven't felt in years. Daniel kills the engine and turns to me. What are you thinking? I meet his gaze, feeling the transformation already beginning. I know exactly what I need to do now. The glow of my laptop screen illuminates my face in the darkened living room. Olivia's monitor hums quietly on the coffee table, her soft breathing a rhythmic counterpoint to my typing. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling slightly before I steady them. I navigate to my banking portal, the familiar page where I've made endless payments to keep my parents' lives afloat. 6 years of monthly withdrawals stare back at me each one, a small betrayal I inflicted upon myself. You sure about this? Daniel's voice comes from behind me, soft but solid. I nod, not trusting my voice yet. On the screen, I've pulled up the automatic payment for my parents' rent. $1,200 monthly, scheduled like clockwork. The cursor blinks on the cancel payment button. Completely sure, I whisper and click. A warning appears. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment? I've never been more sure of anything. Click. The utilities follow. $240 for electric and water, $180 for their phone plan, $210 for car insurance. Each cancellation feels like cutting a cord that's been wrapped around my chest for years, allowing me to breathe a little deeper with each severed tie. I open a spreadsheet I've created over the past 3 hours since we returned home. Every payment, every transfer, every loan meticulously documented from 6 years of bank statements. The total glows at the bottom of the screen, $115,843. The number doesn't even shock me anymore. What shocks me is how blind I've been. Daniel sits beside me, his warmth steadying as I craft a single text message to my mother, father, and sister in a group chat. From now on, take care of yourselves. I hit send, then methodically block each of their numbers. First my mother, then my father. I hesitate at Haley's contact, then block her too. The act feels both brutal and necessary, like cauterizing a wound. Come to bed, Daniel murmurs, taking my hand. Tomorrow will be a long day. It starts at 6:37 a.m. My phone erupts with notifications calls from unknown numbers, voicemails, text messages from email addresses I barely recognize as belonging to my family. They found workarounds to the blocks already. I scan through them while Daniel makes coffee, my stomach tightening with each message. Jessica, there must be some mistake with the rent payment. The landlord called saying it didn't go through. My mother's voice in the first voicemail, confusion masquerading as concern. Call me immediately. My father. No pleasantries. By the third voicemail, my mother's tone has shifted. Jessica Claire, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but we could be evicted. Is that what you want? The text progressed from confusion to disbelief to rage. You can't just cut us off without warning. My father's email sent at 11:42 one must have tried calling as soon as he discovered the cancellations. A text from an unknown number I recognize as Haley's backup. Stop being petty just because you're not the favorite. Mom and Dad need help. I set the phone down, my hands steadier than I expected. They've noticed. Daniel slides coffee toward me, his eyes concerned. You okay? I think I am, I say, surprising myself with the truth of it. By mid-afternoon, the battlefield shifts to social media. Daniel's expression is grim when he shows me his phone. You need to see this, he says. My mother's Facebook post glows on the screen, a masterpiece of manipulation. Heartbroken today, my own daughter, who has plenty of money, has abandoned us in our time of need. Without warning, without explanation. Money really does change people. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. 67 sympathetic comments already from people who've known me my entire life. Church members, family friends, distant relatives. So sorry you're going through this, Deborah. Some children forget where they came from. I never would have expected this from Jessica. How disappointing. You raised her better than this. Under it all, Haley's calculated comment. She's always been selfish, even with her own family. It's just getting worse now that she has money. My hands tremble as I scroll through the public humiliation. The coffee I drank threatens to come back up. This is why I told you to document everything, Daniel says gently, taking his phone back. They were always going to do this. My own phone buzzes with a text from Marissa, a colleague who's seen the post. Hey, you okay? Saw some family drama online. Here if you need to talk. Then another notification, a message from Dr. Levine, my therapist. Saw your mother's post being shared. Remember what we discussed about boundaries. This reaction validates your decision. Even more surprising, a message from Katie, my childhood friend who moved away years ago. Your mom's post is making rounds. Just so you know, we all saw how they treated you growing up. Stay strong. I take a deep breath and open my laptop again. What are you doing? Daniel asks as I log into my cloud storage. Assembling evidence, I reply, pulling up a folder I've created called Family Financial Records. Into it, I drag PDFs of bank statements, screenshots of text messages, hundreds of them, all one-sided requests, photos from family events I wasn't invited to, but Haley was. The spreadsheet calculating the total support over the years. Screenshots of every denied request for help, including 3 separate times they refused to watch Olivia for emergencies. Are you sure you want to do this? Daniel asks as I begin drafting my response. I meet his eyes, finding a certainty I've never felt before. They don't get to rewrite history, not anymore. My fingers fly across the keyboard, crafting the post that will change everything. I stare at my phone screen, transfixed by the tsunami of notifications. My hands hover over the device, not quite touching Ida's if it might burn me. What started as my single post of truth has ignited something uncontrollable. Jessica. Daniel's voice breaks through my trance. You need to see this. He turns his laptop toward me. The comment section beneath my post has transformed overnight. Where there were once accusations of my selfishness, there now stands an army of supporters. You see this? Daniel points to a thread of comments. Your mom's tennis partner, Diane? She's defending you. And look, half your mom's acquaintances are expressing shock. I scan the names, recognizing faces from childhood birthday parties and holiday gatherings. People who've known my family for years are finally seeing behind the curtain. Even Haley's friends are jumping ship. Daniel scrolls to another section. 3 of them have unfollowed her since yesterday. Thank you for being brave enough to say what many of us can't. I've been paying my brother's mortgage for 5 years. Your story gave me courage. Your mother was at my book club last month bragging about her vacation while complaining you never help enough. The hypocrisy. My mouth goes dry. This wasn't supposed to happen. Daniel squeezes my shoulder. Maybe it needed to. My phone buzzes again, the 14th call from my mother in the past hour. I silence it and watch as a text message appears instead. Jessica, please take down that post immediately. Your father's blood pressure is dangerously high because of this public humiliation. Is this how you want him to remember you if something happens? Call me now. The familiar knot of guilt tightens in my chest before I recognize the manipulation. Dad's blood pressure issues materialize whenever accountability approaches. I delete the message without responding. They called my work. I tell Daniel, my voice surprisingly steady. My boss had to have security escort them out. Daniel's jaw tightens. That crosses a line. According to Megan in accounting, Mom was sobbing about how I've had some kind of breakdown. I laugh, but it comes out brittle. Haley's been calling from different numbers since I blocked her. Their landlord called asking if I was still handling their rent payment. Haley's telling people you're having a mental health crisis, Daniel says, scrolling through his phone. Your cousin Ryan messaged me. Apparently she's saying the stress of motherhood has made you unstable, and that's why you suddenly cut them off. I feel my face flush with anger. She's trying to destroy my reputation so no one believes me. And your mother's sister called me, Daniel continues, his voice tightening. She said if you keep this up, we shouldn't expect to be part of the family anymore. Is that supposed to be a threat? I ask, finding unexpected strength in my voice. Being cut out of a family that only sees me as an ATM? The phone rings again, an unknown number. I decline it reflexively. At least we know who our real support system is now, Daniel says, nodding toward his parents' text offering to watch Olivia this weekend. I never expected your mom to step up like this. She said, and I quote, some grandparents actually want to be grandparents, not ATMs. Something warm blooms in my chest, not quite healing, but perhaps it's beginning. My coworkers have created an unexpected buffer too. Jenna intercepted Haley in the lobby yesterday. Marco rerouted calls from my parents' numbers. Even my boss approved a mental health day without hesitation. Family situations can be harder than any project deadline. Take the time you need. I open our banking app, still unused to seeing the balance. The absence of those automatic transfers has created breathing room I'd forgotten could exist. Should we book that weekend in the mountains? Daniel asks, a cautious smile playing at his lips. The cabin with the little fireplace? We couldn't possibly, I start automatically, then stop myself. Actually, yes, let's do it. I think about the daycare brochure sitting on our counter, the one with the music program, an outdoor classroom, that we dismissed as too expensive. Maybe now. My phone lights up with another text. This one from Aunt Carrie. Your mother is distraught. We're all worried about your mental state. This isn't like you, Jessica. Family doesn't air dirty laundry publicly. They're recruiting the extended family now, I mutter, showing Daniel. Are you surprised? Number just disappointed. I block Aunt Carrie's number too. That night, I fall into bed exhausted but with a strange lightness. For the first time in years, I fall asleep without calculating how to stretch our budget to cover someone else's expenses. I don't dream of bounced checks or desperate phone calls. I really sleep for 7 uninterrupted hours. In the morning, I open our banking app, staring at numbers that no longer dwindle to nothing before each payday. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, sliding a cup of coffee beside me. 3 weeks ago, that daycare with the music program seemed impossible. I gestured toward the brochure on our counter. Now we could actually afford it. I've just run the numbers. Daniel grins. And the weekend trip to the mountains? The cabin with the little fireplace? We couldn't possibly, I start automatically, then stop myself. Actually, yes, let's do it. This is what normal people do, Daniel says softly. They use their money for their own families. I nod, the realization still strange and wonderful. I've booked my first therapy appointment too. Dr. Chen had an opening next week. I wake to 14 new voicemails and a text from the hospital with Dad's name mentioned. My heart contracts painfully until I notice the timestamp. 3:17 a.m. A quick call to the hospital confirms my suspiciono Richard Taylor was admitted last night. Enough. I place my phone on the kitchen counter and look at Daniel. I need a new number. He nods, already reaching for his keys. I've been researching home security systems too. You don't think they'd... I don't know what they do anymore, he says grimly. That's the problem. 3 days later, I'm sitting with my new therapist, Dr. Chen. The guilt is still there, I admit. Like I've violated some fundamental law of nature by not setting myself on fire to keep them warm. She nods. That guilt was installed intentionally. It's their most effective control mechanism. My mother showed up at my office again yesterday. Security had to physically block her. And how did that make you feel? Mortified, then angry. I straighten my spine, then certain. I tell her about Daniel confronting my father in the office parking lot, about the cease and desist letter now drafted by a family law attorney, about the locks I've changed and the security cameras we've installed. You're building boundaries, Dr. Chen observes. Not walls, but a healthy perimeter. Later that evening, as Olivia plays with blocks on our living room floor, I open my laptop one last time. My finger hovers over my social media accounts, the battlefield, where this war began. With 3 clicks, I deactivate everything. The silence feels sacred. Daniel sits beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. You okay? Better than okay. I lean into him, watching our daughter stack red and blue blocks into a tottering tower. I'm free. The tower collapses with Olivia's delighted shriek. Without hesitation, she begins rebuilding, this time with a wider, stronger base. I smile at the metaphor life has literally placed before me. Sometimes everything has to fall apart before you can build something that will actually stand. My new phone sits silent on the coffee table. No demands, no guilt, no manipulation. Just the space to breathe, to rebuild, to fortify, to finally live. I stare at my phone, finger hovering over the delete button. An unknown number, but the message makes the sender crystal clear. You've destroyed your family. I hope you're happy with yourself, you selfish bitch. Another one of my mother's friends. I've gotten 6 of these this week alone. I delete it and set my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Through the window, I can see Daniel pushing Olivia on the swing set we installed last weekend, something we could suddenly afford after I stopped paying my parents' rent. The neighborhood gossip reached a fever pitch last month when my parents held a garage sale. Their pristine Italian leather sectioned the one I'd unknowingly financed at on their driveway with a $900 price tag. Mom's designer handbag collection, Dad's golf clubs, the tangible evidence of where my $1,600 monthly payments had actually gone. They're looking for jobs, Sarah told me yesterday at the supermarket, her voice a practiced whisper. Sarah, me mother's tennis partner for 15 years, couldn't quite meet my eyes. Your dad had an interview at the hardware store. Your mom's applying at the call center. I nodded, keeping my face carefully neutral as I selected apples. That's good to hear. What I didn't say, it's been 2 months. It took them exactly 8 weeks to exhaust their emergency options and face reality. What I didn't say, they're in their early 50s, not 70s. They should have been employed all along. What I didn't say, Haley finally had to start paying for her own children's expenses. I drop a handful of cherry tomatoes into the salad bowl, the knife steady in my hand as I slice cucumbers. My movements feel deliberate, confident. 3 months ago, my hands would have trembled with anxiety over what my family might need next. The doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Mrs. Lowell from church, clutching a casserole dish. Her expression pinches with disapproval when I open the door. Jessica. Her voice drips with manufactured concern. I thought your family could use a meal, what, with everything going on? Translation. I'm picking sides and it's not yours. That's thoughtful, but we're doing fine. I don't invite her in. We're actually having my boss over for dinner tomorrow. I received a promotion last week. Her eyebrows lift. I hadn't planned to share that detail, but the satisfaction of seeing her surprise outweighs my usual privacy. A promotion? That's, she struggles, unexpected. Of course it is. Who would promote the terrible daughter who abandoned her poor, struggling parents? What Mrs. Lowell doesn't know, I'm working 10 fewer hours per week now that I'm not managing my parents' financial crises. My productivity has skyrocketed. My ideas flow uninterrupted by frantic calls about overdrawn accounts and missed utility payments. I take the casserole because it's easier than refusing. Please thank your prayer group for their concern. I know they're praying for me, praying I'll see the error of my ways, praying I'll return to being the family ATM. After she leaves, I scrape the casserole into the trash. Petty, perhaps, but cathartic. That night, after tucking Olivia in, I find Daniel in our bedroom holding a framed photo. It's from my college graduation, me in cap and gown, flanked by my beaming parents. Before their demands escalated, before the monthly payments became non-negotiable. You okay? He asks, catching me staring. I found myself crying over these yesterday, I admit, sitting beside him. Not because I miss them exactly, I miss who I thought they were. Daniel sets the photo in the drawer of his nightstand instead of back on the dresser. A small gesture, but it speaks volumes. We're making space for new memories. The following weekend, I open a dedicated college fund for Olivia. The first deposit, $1,600, feels momentous. Every month from now on, the money that once disappeared into my parents' bottomless needs will secure my daughter's future instead. Gamma? Olivia asks occasionally, her small face curious. See Gamma today? Each time, the question cuts deep. Not for me, but for her. She's innocent in all of this, too young to understand the complexities of adult relationships gone toxic. Not today, sweetheart, I tell her, redirecting her attention to blocks or books or the backyard swing. In therapy, I'm learning this isn't selfish, it's protection. My therapist nods approvingly when I describe enforcing boundaries with the church ladies, with old family friends, with the flying monkeys my mother dispatches to guilt me. You're rebuilding your identity, she tells me. The caretaker role was consuming you. Now you're discovering who Jessica is when she's not responsible for everyone else's choices. Who Jessica is. A woman who sleeps through the night without anxiety, dreams about unpaid bills. A mother who's present for bath time instead of on the phone, resolving someone else's crisis. A wife who has energy for date nights. A professional who's being recognized for her talents. The most unexpected consequence. I like this version of myself. Last week, I ran into my high school English teacher at the grocery store. She pulled me into a fierce hug. I heard what happened, she whispered. My sister did the same thing to me for years. Walking away saved my life. I hadn't known there were others. That there was a name for this financial abuse. That the cold clarity I felt that day in my parents' living room wasn't unique to me. I was never the problem. I tell Daniel later that night, the revelation's still fresh. All these years, I thought if I just gave enough, did enough, it would fix everything. He pulls me close. You fixed the one thing you could control, your own participation in their system. Outside, spring unfurls across our small yard. We're planting a garden this weekend, growing things that will nourish us, that will still be here next season. Roots extending into the soil, boundaries clearly marked with neat wooden frames. The envelope sits on my kitchen counter for 3 days. No return address, but I recognize my mother's handwriting instantly, the looping curves of my name, the slight tilt to the right. For 8 months, our only contact has been through lawyers and mutual acquaintances. You don't have to open it, Daniel says, sliding a cup of coffee across the counter to me. His eyes reflect the same caution I feel. It's your choice. I run my finger along the sealed edge. What if it's another manipulation? Then you close it and throw it away. He kisses my forehead. You've gotten pretty good at that. When I finally tear it open after Olivia's bedtime, the letter inside isn't what I expected. 2 handwritten pages, no accusations or demands for money. Instead, words I've never heard from my mother. Genuine remorse without a hidden agenda. I never saw what I was doing to you. I took and took until there was nothing left, and then I was angry when you stopped giving. I'm sorry, Jessica. I call my therapist the next morning. People can change, Dr. Lynn tells me during our emergency session. But real change leaves evidence. Look for consistent actions over time, not just pretty words when they want something. I draft my response carefully. A coffee shop meeting, public location, clear time limit. When she replies agreeing to all my terms without argument, something shifts inside me. It's the first boundary of mine she's ever respected. Cafe Meridian buzzes with mid-morning customers when I arrive 15 minutes early. I choose a corner table with a clear view of the door and order a black coffee I probably won't drink. My mother appears in the doorway exactly on time, and I almost don't recognize her. Gone is the highlighted hair, the designer purse. Her clothes are simple, practical. She's aged years in 8 months. She spots me and freezes, hand clutching the strap of a fabric bag that's replaced her usual leather tote. I don't stand, don't wave. She makes her way through the tables, her movements hesitant. Jessica. She hovers by the empty chair. You can sit, I tell her, my voice steadier than I feel. She does, placing her hands flat on the table, then withdrawing them to her lap. The nervous gesture is so unfamiliar, it catches me off guard. My mother has always claimed space confidently. Before we start, I say, I need to be clear. This is a conversation, not a reconciliation. I have boundaries that aren't negotiable. This ends the moment I feel manipulated. I expect resistance, the flash of indignation I've seen countless times. Instead, she nods. I understand. The server approaches, and my mother orders a plain tea. No special instructions, no complaints about the menu. Another unfamiliar behavior. When we're alone again, I don't soften my approach. You took over $100,000 from me over 6 years. You prioritized Haley's children while rejecting mine. You publicly shamed me when I stopped paying your bills. Tears well in her eyes, but she doesn't deflect. Yes, I did all of that. Her admission hits me with physical force. After years of denial and gaslighting, the simple truth spoken aloud feels radical. Your father still refuses to acknowledge any of it. She continues, voice trembling. He says you owed us for raising you. Haley is starting to see things differently, though. The last few months have been educational for her. I take a sip of my coffee, finding it's gone cold. Did you ever actually love me? Or just what I could provide? The question hangs between us, raw and bleeding. My mother's face crumples. I love you, she whispers. I just didn't know how to love you properly. I confused love with what I could get from you. She wipes at her eyes. That's not an excuse. The server delivers her tea. We sit in silence as she unwraps the tea bag, her hands shaking slightly. Even it's a big if we have any relationship moving forward, I have conditions, I say when she looks up again. She nods, waiting. No financial support from me, ever again. Not a dollar, not a loan, not in an emergency. I count the points on my fingers. Daniel and Olivia are my primary family. They come first, always. You'll need to attend family therapy sessions before regular contact resumes, and I need you to publicly acknowledge how you treated me all these years. My mother stares into her tea. I can see the struggle playing across her face, the words she wants to say but is forcing herself to swallow. I understand, she finally manages. It will be difficult, but I'll do it. Dad won't, I state, already knowing the answer. Number. She shakes her head. He refuses to meet or apologize, says you'll come to your senses eventually. A familiar anger flickers, but it lacks the burning intensity it once had. And Haley? She's trying in her way. She asks about you sometimes, but she's still defensive. The family is fracturing along new lines, those willing to face reality, and those clinging to the old dynamic. I find I don't mind the incomplete resolution. Some relationships may never heal, and that's okay. If we move forward, I say, I set the terms. I decide when and where we meet. I decide if and when you see Olivia. I'd like that, she says, hope flickering across her face. To see Olivia again. When you think it's right. You'll need to prove yourself first, I tell her. Regular updates on your progress. Consistent therapy. No financial discussions, period. She nods, fingers curled around her mug. I'm working at the community college now, administrative assistant. It's not much, but it's something. For the first time in our adult relationship, I see my mother as a person rather than an obligation. The realization doesn't flood me with warmth or forgiveness, but it does bring a certain peace. She's finally seeing me as a person too, not a resource to be depleted. Time's up, I say, checking my watch. Our agreed 30 minutes have passed. As we stand to leave, she makes no move to hug me, respecting yet another boundary. Thank you for meeting me, she says instead. I nod, gathering my purse. We'll see. Walking to my car, I feel lighter. Not healed, not reconciled, but no longer haunted. Whatever happens next, I'm the one holding the power not out of vengeance, but out of self-protection and hard-won wisdom. Some bridges can be rebuilt, others need to stay burned. Knowing the difference is its own kind of freedom. I trace my finger along the freshly painted wall of our new living room, still marveling that this space belongs to us. A homier home with Daniel's name and mine on the deed. The morning light streams through windows that don't face another apartment building, but instead reveal the small maple tree in our yard that will shade Olivia's playset next summer. Did you decide where you want this? Daniel balances a framed photo in his hands, his expression softening as he studies the image of us from last Christmas, the three of us laughing. Olivia's chubby hands clutching her new stuffed giraffe. By the stairs. I take the frame, feeling its solid weight, where we'll see it every morning. Our wall of photos tells the truth of our family now. No forced smiles hiding resentment. No obligatory portraits including people who saw me as nothing but a walking checkbook. Just the people who genuinely love us. My phone buzzes. My mother's name appears on the screen, not blocked anymore, but carefully managed. Same time Saturday, her text reads, I found a book Olivia might like. I type back, 10 a.m. works. Remember Daniel will be there too. The boundaries hold. 1 supervised visit per week. No financial discussions. No criticism. My mother works as an office administrator now, lives in a modest apartment she can actually afford, and follows my rules if she wants to see her granddaughter. I check my other notifications. 3 new comments on my latest blog post. Breaking the chains of financial caretaking. The support group I started has grown to 37 members, all people, discovering they aren't alone in being used as their family's personal bank. Mommy, look! Olivia races in from the kitchen, proudly holding a drawing covered in purple scribbles. At 3, she already understands more than I did at 30. Last week, when she offered her juice box to a friend, and the child grabbed it without saying thank you, I watched her small face turn serious. You say thank you when someone shares, she told him firmly. I kneel beside her, meeting her eyes. It's beautiful. Should we put it on the refrigerator? Yes, she nods enthusiastically. Can I call Gamma to show her? On Saturday, sweetie. Remember our calendar? Today is only Wednesday. Olivia considers this, then nods. I'll save it for Saturday. No tantrums, no confusion. Children adapt to consistency, my therapist explained. It's adults who fight it. My father chose estrangement rather than respect. Some days the absence still aches. Other days I'm grateful for the clarity. Haley calls occasionally, our conversations cautious but less hostile. Last month, she admitted, I never realized how much you were caring for all of us. Daniel wraps his arms around my waist from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder, as we watch Olivia skip back to her coloring project in the kitchen. The promotion looks good on you, he murmurs, and I feel myself stand straighter. Senior marketing director now, with a salary that makes our mortgage comfortable, and Olivia's college fund grows steadily. Amazing what I can achieve when I'm not paying for 3 extra adults. Tonight I'll be speaking at the community center. 20 people registered for my workshop, from family bank to financial freedom. The slides are ready on my laptop, starting with my own bank statements from a year ago and ending with today's savings report. Evidence of transformation that can't be argued with. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, because he always knows when my mind is working through something. That I'm grateful, I say, leaning back against him. Not for what happened, but for what I discovered through it. And what's that? My gaze travels across our new home, with its paint we chose together and the future we're building intentionally. I think of my mother in therapy last week, finally saying, I'm proud of who you've become. without asking for anything afterward. That my worth was never in what I could give, I tell him, turning to meet his eyes, but in who I am. I stand in the foyer of our suburban home, one hand pressed against the small of my back, the other cradling my swollen belly. The sound of laughter drifts from the living roomy husband's voice, animated and carefree, mixed with the appreciative chuckles of his parents. My feet ache from hours of standing, but that pain is nothing compared to the hollow feeling in my chest as I listen to their jovial conversation. And then I told the client. Ethan's voice carries through the hallway, sharp and clear, like he's performing for an audience. I take a tentative step toward the living room, wincing as my swollen ankles protest the movement. The hardwood floor creaks beneath my feet, but no one seems to notice. I pause in the doorway, taking in the scene. Ethan sits perfectly poised in his tailored charcoal suit, not a single dark hair out of place. His parents lean forward on our cream leather sofa, hanging on his every word. The evening light streams through the bay window, catching the dust motes dancing in the air, making everything look almost ethereal like a perfect family portrait. Almost. Ethan, I venture, hating how small my voice sounds. I couldn't find your whiskey at the store. The change is immediate. His shoulders stiffen, and when he turns to look at me, his eyes are cold, dismissive. What do you mean you couldn't find it? Did you even try the other locations? I checked 3 stores, I say, fighting to keep my voice steady. They were all out of that specific brand. He sighs, that particular sigh I've come to dread, the one that says I've disappointed him yet again. Sophia, you know how particular I am about my drinks, especially when my parents are here. I know, I'm sorry, There's that new liquor store on Mason Street. His mother interjects, her smile sharp as a knife. Surely you could try there. My feet throb at the mere thought of more walking. The doctor specifically told me to rest, to stay off my feet as much as possible this close to my due date. Ethan knows this. He was there at the appointment, or at least, his body was. His mind was probably on work, just like always. It's getting late, I say quietly, and the doctor said, "Oh, for God's sake." Ethan cuts me off, standing abruptly. He straightens his jacket with quick, irritated movements. "I'll go get it myself, since apparently that's too difficult for you to manage." The words hit like physical blows. I watch him grab his keys from the side table, not even sparing me a glance as he strides past. His parents exchange knowing looks, the kind that speak volumes about their opinion of their son's inadequate wife. "Don't wait up." Ethan calls over his shoulder, already halfway to the door. "We might grab dinner while we're out." The front door slams, and suddenly I'm transported back through months of similar moments. Early mornings, waking up to cold sheets and silence. Ethan already gone without a word. The day of my first ultrasound, sitting alone in the waiting room, watching other expectant mothers with their supportive partners. His text arrived 15 minutes after my appointment. Got held up in a meeting. Reschedule? The memories flood in, each one sharper than the last. Last week's prenatal checkup, where the doctor frowned at my blood pressure readings. "Is your husband helping with the housework?" she'd asked. I'd lied, nodding, thinking of the dishes I'd washed that morning, back aching, while Ethan sat in his home office on yet another important call. 3 days ago, struggling to carry groceries up our driveway. Ethan watching from the window, phone pressed to his ear, turning away as I dropped a bag. The oranges had rolled down the concrete, and I'd had to choose between picking them up or protecting my belly as I bent down. Our wedding photo stares back at me from the hallway wall. The happy couple they'd called us. Now the silver frame just reflects the cold glow of the hallway light, turning my smile into something fragile and uncertain. I trace my finger across the glass, remembering how many nights I've spent alone in this house, managing endless chores despite my growing exhaustion, while Ethan attended essential business dinners. My hands curl into fists at my sides. Each dismissal, each lonely moment, each casual cruelty, they're not just memories anymore. They're fuel. Something hot and fierce builds in my chest, different from the usual hurt. This feels like strength. I turn toward the unseen audience, you, whoever you are, watching this moment of revelation, and whisper, have you ever felt completely overlooked by someone you trusted? The words hang in the air, heavy with truth and possibility. My reflection in the hallway mirror shows a woman I barely recognize, spine straight despite the weight of my belly, eyes bright with unshed tears, and something else. Something like determination. My phone buzzes in my hand. Unknown number. My heart races as I stare at the screen, my finger hovering over the answer button. In this moment, standing in my silent house with my baby kicking beneath my ribs, I realize something has shifted. Whatever this call brings, I'm done being invisible. I take a deep breath and press answer. The engine hums beneath us as Ethan maneuvers through evening traffic, one hand loosely gripping the steering wheel, the other scrolling through his phone. My fingernails dig into the leather seat as another contraction ripples through me, but I bite back the whimper rising in my throat. He won't listen anyway. I've booked the beach house for next weekend, he announces, not even glancing in my direction. Mom's already planning the menu for Sunday brunch. The words take a moment to register through the fog of pain. Next weekend? My voice comes out thin, strained. Ethan, I'm due in less than 2 weeks. He sighs that familiar, dismissive sound that makes me feel 2 inches tall. The doctor said first babies usually come late. Besides, it's only a 2-hour drive. A sharper contraction seizes me, and this time I can't hold back my gasp. My hands fly to my belly, feeling it tighten like a vice. Something's wrong, I manage through gritted teeth. We need to go to the hospital. Don't be dramatic, Sophia. Ethan's voice carries that edge of irritation I've come to dread. You're just working yourself up over nothing, again. The contractions are coming faster now, each one more intense than the last. Sweat beads on my forehead as highway lights blur past the window. I fumble for my phone, trying to time the waves of pain, but my fingers are trembling too badly to unlock the screen. Pull over, I plead, panic rising in my chest. Please, Ethan, the baby. For God's sake! He slams his hand against the steering wheel. I have a conference call in 20 minutes. This attention-seeking behavior needs to stop. Warm liquid soaks through my dress. My water has broken. The realization hits me with crystalline clarity. My baby is coming, whether Ethan acknowledges it or not. Stop the car, I demand, my voice stronger than I knew it could be. Stop it now. He jerks the wheel toward the shoulder, tires crunching on gravel. Before the car fully stops, he's already dialing his phone. I can't deal with this right now. There's a gas station half a mile ahead. Call yourself an Uber. What? The word comes out as a whisper, though my mind is screaming. You can't. But he can. He does. I watch in stunned disbelief as he reaches across me, pushes open my door, and waits. The fluorescent lights of the gas station gleam in the distance, impossibly far. Get out. His voice is cold, final. I'm already late. Another contraction rips through me as I stumble from the car. The gravel bites into my feet through thin sandals. I brace myself against the guardrail, doubled over in pain, as Ethan's taillights disappear into the darkness. The sound of an approaching car makes me lift my head. Headlights sweep across me, then brake lights flash red. A car door slams. Oh my God, Sophia? A familiar voice cuts through my haze of pain. Mia, my neighbor, rushes toward me, her face twisted with concern. What happened? Are you in labor? I try to answer, but another contraction steals my breath. Through tear-blurred eyes, I see Mia's phone in her hand, already recording. She must have been filming something else, but now her camera captures the last glimpse of Ethan's retreating car, the empty shoulder of the road, my obvious distress. He left me. I choke out, the reality of it hitting me like a physical blow. He just left. I'm calling 911. Mia's arm wraps around my shoulders, steadying me. Her other hand still holds her phone, unknowingly documenting every moment of this betrayal. And then we're going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man Ethan Carter really is. The wail of approaching sirens pierces the night. I lean into Mia's support, one hand cradling my belly, feeling my baby's movement beneath my palm. Something shifts inside Mena, just the baby, but something deeper. The fear and shock are still there, but beneath them burns a new emotion. Rage. Hold on, little one, I whisper to my child. We're going to survive this, and then we're going to make sure your father never hurts anyone else again. Through the haze of pain, I hear Mia speaking urgently into her phone, coordinating with the emergency responders. The evidence of Ethan's cruelty is safely recorded, though he doesn't know it yet. My hands shake, but my resolve hardens like steel. This night marks the end of his power over Mia, and he doesn't even realize it yet. I got it all, Mia says, her voice tight with controlled anger as she helps me toward her car. The whole thing. Him driving away, what he said, everything. She holds up her phone, its screen still recording. I was doing a sunset time-lapse for my photography blog when I saw you. Talk about right place, right time. Another contraction hits, and I grip her arm. The pain is different, now sharper. More insistent. The baby, I gasp. Something's happening. Mia's face sets with determination. She flags down an approaching ambulance, its sirens piercing the quiet suburban night. Over here! She's in active labor! The next few minutes blur into a cascade of motion and voices. Paramedics swarm around me, their questions coming rapid fire. Blood pressure, contraction timing, previous complications. Through it all, Mia stays close, her hand gripping mine, her phone safely tucked away with its damning evidence. I'm coming with you, she insists, as they load me into the ambulance. To the paramedics, she adds, I'm her emergency contact, her husband. She catches herself, but I hear the disgust in her voice. The ambulance races through darkened streets, each bump and turn intensifying my pain. But something else builds alongside Ida fierce, unexpected strength. I think of Ethan, probably sitting in his pristine office by now, smugly conducting his conference call while I fight through labor alone. Number not alone. I look at Mia, this neighbor who's become more family to me than my own husband. What would you do? I ask her, my voice surprisingly steady despite another waves of contractions. If the one you trusted let you down at your most vulnerable moment. She squeezes my hand, her eyes glinting with a mixture of compassion and steel. I'd make sure they never had the chance to do it again. She pulls out her phone, showing me the video she captured. On the screen, Ethan's car speeds away, his callous words perfectly audible in the night air. And honey, we've got everything we need to make that happen. I close my eyes as another contraction builds. But this time, the pain feels different. This time, it feels like power. Like the beginning of something, not just an ending. Somewhere in this city, Ethan sits in his clean, ordered world, not knowing that its foundations are already crumbling. Let him enjoy his perfect image while he can. The truth is safely captured, waiting like a loaded gun, and soon everyone will know exactly who Ethan Carter really is. I sit in my living room, watching Ethan's performance on the local news. He stands at a polished podium outside his company headquarters, every hair perfectly in place, his navy suit crisp despite the humid Atlanta afternoon. The sight of him makes my stomach clench. These allegations are completely unfounded, he says, voice steady and practiced. My wife's situation has been greatly dramatized by social media. I've always been a dedicated husband, and soon, to be father. Elijah stirs against my chest, and I adjust him gently. My newborn son seems to sense the tension in my body, his tiny fists clenching as Ethan's voice fills our home. A notification pings on my phone, another community message board post about the Carter family scandal. The headlines are spreading faster than Ethan's crisis management team can contain them. Local business leader abandons pregnant wife. Atlanta entrepreneur. Under fire for negligence, asterisk. Turn it off, Mia says from beside me, reaching for the remote. You don't need to watch this. But I can't look away. Ethan's mask is slipping. I see it in the tight set of his jaw, the slight tremor in his hand as he adjusts his tie. For the first time, others are seeing what I've known for months. The carefully constructed facade hiding a heart of ice. The community remembers your generous donations, a reporter calls out. But witnesses say you left your wife on the side of the road during active labor. How do you respond? Ethan's smile doesn't waver, but I recognize the dangerous flash in his eyes. A complete misunderstanding. My wife was simply overwrought, and the television clicks off. Mia stands in front of me, arms crossed. Enough. We have work to do. She's right. I follow her to the community center, Elijah sleeping peacefully in his carrier. The conference room is dim and cool, a welcome relief from the Georgia heat. Spread across the oak table are printouts, photos, and my old digital voice recorder. Physical proof of Ethan's cruelty. My hands shake as I press play on the first recording. Since apparently that's too difficult for you to manage. Ethan's voice, cold and dismissive, fills the room. Then another. Don't wait up. We might grab dinner while we're out. Each clip is a knife to my heart, but also a brick in the wall of evidence we're building. Our neighbor Tom's written statement about finding me struggling with groceries. The security camera footage from our driveway showing Ethan watching, unconcerned, as I nearly fell. The doctor's notes about my dangerously high blood pressure, her pointed questions about support at home. This is more than enough, says Karen, a local advocacy lawyer who's joined our cause. The pattern of neglect is clear. But it's not just the evidence that's changing. With each replay, each witness statement, something shifts inside me. The pain doesn't disappear. It transforms, hardening into determination. I'm no longer the woman who apologized for failing to find the right whiskey. I'm becoming someone else, someone stronger. The community center fills with more allies as the afternoon progresses. Mia takes charge, directing everyone with quiet efficiency. At a large whiteboard, she maps out our strategy, press releases, legal filings, community outreach events. Each person brings unique insights. Mrs. Chen from the corner store knows every local gossip channel. Robert from Neighborhood Watch has connections with law enforcement. And Karen understands the intricacies of family court. We need to coordinate our timing, Mia says, uncapping a red marker. Hit him from all angles before he can spin more lies. She draws arrows connecting different initiatives, creating a web of resistance that makes my breath catch. This is no longer just my fight, it's become a movement. Local business owners pledge to withdraw support from Ethan's ventures. The president of the neighborhood association suggests an emergency meeting to address community safety concerns. Even the pastor from Ethan's parents' church quietly offers testimonials about his absurd behavior. The truth has a way of surfacing, Mrs. Chen says, her eyes fierce with protective anger. We just need to give it a little push. I stand before them, my heart pounding with a mixture of gratitude and determination. How far would you go to reclaim your dignity? The words escape me before I can think, and the room falls silent. That's when Sarah, Ethan's former assistant, steps forward. Her hands tremble as she places a sleek laptop on the table, but her voice is steady. There's something you all need to see. She opens a folder labeled EC Private and turns the screen toward us. I've been documenting everything for months. Board meeting recordings, email threads, bank transfers, the abandonment during labor. That's just the tip of the iceberg. My breath catches as I scan the first few documents. Email chains revealing Ethan's systematic manipulation of company funds. Calendar entries showing business meetings that were anything but professional. Voice memos where he openly mocked my pregnancy concerns to his colleagues. He has no idea I kept copies, Sarah says quietly. He thought he'd cleaned everything when he had it-wiped my work computer. The room erupts in murmurs as people crowd around the laptop. But I'm frozen, staring at the screen, remembering all the nights I spent alone while Ethan claimed to be working late. All the times he dismissed my concerns about our dwindling savings. All the lies. This changes everything, Mia says, her expression fierce with triumph. He won't be able to talk his way out of this. I look down at Elijah, still sleeping peacefully in his carrier, then back at the determined faces surrounding me. For months, Ethan made me feel small, invisible, crazy for doubting him. But now, surrounded by allies and armed with irrefutable evidence, I feel something new stirring in my chest. Power. It's time, I say, my voice stronger than I've ever heard it. Show me everything. My hand trembles as I adjust the microphone. The historic brick walls of the Centennial Community Center loom above me, witnesses to countless community gatherings, but none quite like this. Hundreds of faces stare back at me from the audience, their expressions a mix of curiosity and anticipation. Behind them, the red lights of multiple news cameras blink steadily, ready to broadcast my truth to the world. Thank you all for coming, I begin, my voice stronger than I expected. Mia stands to my left, a silent pillar of support. My son Elijah sleeps peacefully in her arms, blissfully unaware that his mother is about to shatter his father's carefully constructed world. I take a deep breath and press play. The video fills the massive screen behind me. Even now, months later, watching the footage makes my chest tight. There's Ethan, impeccable in his designer suit, his face twisted with disdain as I double over in pain on the side of the road. His voice rings out, crystal clear through the community center's speakers. I don't have time for your dramatics, Sophia. The board meeting starts in 20 minutes. A collective gasp ripples through the audience. I force myself to watch their reactions instead of the screen, to stay present in this moment rather than getting lost in the memory of that night. Some people cover their mouths in shock. Others shake their heads in disgust. A woman in the front row wipes away tears. This was the night I went into premature labor. I say into the microphone, my voice steady despite the emotion threatening to choke me. The night my husband-a-man celebrated in this community for his charitable works and family values left his 9 months pregnant wife on the side of the road because a business meeting took priority. I gesture to my laptop, and a series of time-stamped recordings, screenshots, and documents appear on the screen. Each piece of evidence lands like a physical blow. Ethan's cruel dismissals captured on a home security system, his gaslighting texts, social media posts where he painted himself as a devoted husband while I struggled alone through a difficult pregnancy. The evidence is irrefutable. I've made sure of that. A commotion erupts at the back of the room. I spot Ethan bursting through the doors, his face flushed with rage. His expensive shoes click against the hardwood floor as he storms toward the stage. But he's too late. The damage is already done. CNN's cameras are rolling. Local news stations are broadcasting live. A number Ethan Carter exposed is already trending on social media. Within hours, Ethan's desperate countermeasures begin. I watch from Mia's living room as he appears on local television, his practiced smile now strained at the edges. My wife is clearly struggling with postpartum depression, he says smoothly to the interviewer. These allegations are completely fabricated. The feed cuts to footage from my press conference, his own voice contradicting his denials. His mother, Margaret, launches a social media campaign, posting carefully curated photos of family gatherings. But the comments beneath tell a different story. Where was he when she was in labor? Why are all these photos staged? I saw him that neither really did leave her. Mia squeezes my hand as we watch his carefully constructed defenses crumble. The community is ready, she says, pulling out her phone. Should we launch phase 2? I nod, and within minutes, the Centennial Community Center's parking lot fills again. This time, it's not just journalists, it's neighbors. Local business owners, teachers, nurses from the hospital where I gave birth. They carry signs, number Justice for Sophia, number No More Silence, number We Stand with Survivors. The movement grows faster than even Mia predicted. Local legal experts offer pro bono services. Activists organize demonstrations outside Eaton and Associates. The dedicated website we created crashes from too much traffic as thousands share their own stories of abuse and survival. Each coordinated response strips away another layer of Ethan's power. His business partners distance themselves. His PR firm issues a carefully worded statement about reevaluating their client relationships. His country club membership is quietly revoked, but it's at the final town hall meeting that I deliver the killing blow. The same community center fills one last time. Ethan sits in the front row, his suit slightly rumpled now, his confident smile replaced by dark circles under his eyes. He thinks he knows what's coming, more videos, more testimonies. He's wrong. I pull out a small USB drive, holding it up so the cameras can catch the light glinting off its surface. This drive contains every communication between my husband and the executives at Eaton and Associates. I announce, my voice carrying to every corner of the room. Every strategy they plan to discredit victims. Every scheme to bury the truth. The color drains from Ethan's face. He knows exactly what's on that drive, every cruel plan, every calculated deception, laid bare in his own words. I turn to face the audience. These people who've become more than just spectators, they're now allies in the fight for justice. For years, I thought I was alone. I say, my voice strong and clear. I thought no one would believe me over the great Ethan Carter. But I'm not alone anymore. We're not alone anymore. Looking directly into the cameras, I ask the question that will echo across social media tonight. Do you believe justice will finally prevail? The answering roar shakes the historic walls of the Centennial Community Center, and I know it already has. The crystal chandeliers of the Peachtree Grand Hotel cast dancing shadows across the faces of Atlanta's elite. I adjust my emerald silk dress, a strategic choice that makes me look both powerful and approachable. The ballroom buzzes with the typical sounds of a charity gala, champagne flutes clinking, forced laughter, the rustle of designer dresses worth more than my monthly rent. Ethan takes the stage like he owns it, each step calculated in his navy Tom Ford suit. I've seen this performance before, the way he tilts his head just so, how he adjusts his gold cufflinks for maximum effect. The spotlight catches his perfectly styled dark hair, and for a moment, I'm transported back to our wedding day. Back when I thought his orchestrated movements meant strength instead of manipulation. Ladies and gentlemen, he begins, his voice carrying that practiced mix of authority and charm. I stand before you tonight not just as a business leader, but as a man who's been grievously wronged. My fingers curl around the small remote in my palm. Beside me, Mia squeezes my other hand. The projector behind Ethan hums quietly, waiting. Any attempts to slander my reputation will be met with the full force of legal action. Ethan continues, his words dripping with manufactured sincerity. The allegations against me are not just false, they're malicious attempts to destroy everything we've built in this community. Now, I whisper, pressing the button. The screen behind him flickers to life. Ethan's voice fills the ballroom, but this time it's different, unfiltered, cruel. The security footage plays in crystal clear quality. Ethan screaming at me to get out of his car, my pregnant form visible in the frame. The timestamp shows 2:17 a.m. The next clip. Ethan laughing with his colleagues about handling the wife situation while I was in labor. He spins around, face draining of color as he watches himself on screen. The audience's murmurs grow louder, more urgent. I stand, moving toward the stage with measured steps. You want to talk about slander, Ethan? My voice carries across the suddenly silent room. Let's talk about truth instead. More evidence floods the screen bank statements, showing his systematic financial abuse. Text messages revealing his coordinated gaslighting campaigns. Medical records documenting my stress-induced complications during pregnancy. Each piece lands like a physical blow, dismantling his carefully constructed facade piece by piece. These aren't allegations, I continue, my voice steady despite my racing heart. These are facts. Facts that show exactly who you are when the cameras stop rolling. The crowd's reaction is visceral. I see Mrs. Henderson, his biggest client, press a hand to her mouth in horror. Senator Wright, his golf buddy, slowly shakes his head. The community leaders who once hung on Ethan's every word now lean away from him, as if his presence has become toxic. You're twisting things, Ethan snarls, but his composure cracks. His hands shake as he grips the podium. This is clearly edited. Is it? I pull out my phone, turning up the volume. His voice fills the room again. Get out. I don't care if you're in labor. I have a meeting in the morning. The timestamp matches the hospital admission records projected on screen. A woman in the front row stands up and walks out. Then another. Soon, it's a steady stream of Ethan's former supporters abandoning their seats, their backs turned to his desperate attempts to explain. The next morning, I stand at the podium of the Atlanta Convention Center, my legal team flanking me like guardian angels. The room pulses with the energy of dozens of journalists, their cameras trained on my face. Miss Taylor, my attorney, places a reassuring hand on my shoulder as I begin. For too long, silence has been mistaken for consent. I say into the forest of microphones. Today, that silence ends. The evidence unfolds like a symphony piece building on the last. High-definition security footage from our neighborhood shows Ethan's pattern of neglect. Audio recordings capture his casual cruelty. Financial records reveal his systematic attempts to keep me dependent and isolated. Judge Robinson's ruling comes down like thunder 3 days later. I sit in the front row of the courtroom, spine straight, as she speaks the words that will reshape my future. In light of the overwhelming evidence, she declares, her voice sharp with barely contained disgust, this court finds in favor of the plaintiff. Mr. Carter's actions represent a clear pattern of emotional and financial abuse. The gavel strikes. Ethan's head drops into his hands. Around me, the community that once shunned me now stands in solidarity. Mr. Johnson, the community center director, Miss Rivera, who runs the local women's shelter. Even Ethan's former business partners, their faces grim with newfound understanding. Later, standing on the courthouse steps with Mia and my supporters, I feel the weight of victory settle around my shoulders like a warm shawl. The late afternoon sun paints everything in shades of gold, as if the world itself is celebrating with me. Then my phone buzzes. The message glows against the screen. Impressive victory. But did you know about the offshore accounts, the shell companies, the other women who came before you? This goes deeper than one man's cruelty. Want to know more? My heart pounds as I stare at the words. Around me, reporters call out questions. Cameras flash. Supporters celebrate. But my mind races with possibilities, with the thought that maybe this isn't the end, maybe it's just the beginning. I look up at the crowd gathered around me, then back at my phone. Can you imagine reclaiming your life after such betrayal? I ask, my voice carrying over the courthouse steps. The question hangs in the air, both an ending and a beginning, as I press my thumb against the screen and type one word. Yes. The first rays of sunlight paint the Atlanta skyline in shades of amber and rose. I stand on my balcony, fingers curled around the smooth metal railing, watching the city wake. My new home isn't as grand as the suburban prison I left behind, but every inch of this space belongs to me. Every decision, every decoration, every moment mine. The morning air carries the scent of flowering dogwoods and fresh coffee from the cafe downstairs. A gentle breeze stirs my hair, and I close my eyes, letting the warmth seep into my skin. The weight that used to press against my chest, that constant pressure of trying to be perfect, of walking on eggshells it's gone. My hands find the framed photo on the small bistro table, the glass cool against my fingertips. The picture captures a moment from last month's community gathering. Mia's arm around my shoulders, her brother Daniel's quiet smile in the background, and my standing tall, Elijah balanced on my hip. The joy in my eyes is real, unforced. No carefully constructed facade, no desperate attempt to maintain appearances. The city below comes alive with purpose. A delivery truck rumbles past. Morning commuters stream toward MARTA stations, and somewhere nearby, a car horn offers a staccato greeting to the day. I breathe in deeply, tasting freedom in every inhale. Inside the Centennial Community Center, sunlight streams through tall windows, creating halos around the faces of the women gathered here. My story flows easier now, though my hands still tremble slightly as I gesture toward the projection screen. Images flash behind the scenes from a life I barely recognize anymore. That woman, I say, pointing to a photo of myself from before, hunched and uncertain in an expensive dress that feels like a costume now. She believed love meant sacrifice. That strength meant silence. My voice carries clearly through the room, steady and sure. She was wrong. Heads nod in understanding. Some of these women have stories that mirror my own. Others are here to learn, to recognize the signs, to understand how to help. In the front row, Mia beams with pride, her presence a reminder of that first crucial moment when someone finally saw me. Each moment that broke me, I continue, advancing to the next slide, actually built something stronger. Every dismissal, every lonely night, every cruel word they became stepping stones. The image changes to a recent photo. Me speaking at a domestic violence awareness rally, my voice carrying across a sea of supportive faces. They led me here. The energy shifts as we move into the workshop portion of the session. At a table near the window, I notice a woman, Cassandra, according to her name, tag-dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Her hands shake as she tries to complete the therapeutic art exercise we've provided. Without hesitation, I make my way to her side. It feels impossible now, I say softly, settling into the chair beside her. But that's just another lie they tell us. I guide her hand as she sketches, showing her how to transform her pain into something beautiful on the page. You're stronger than you know. A movement catches my eye, Daniel, Mia's brother, slipping quietly into the back of the room. Our eyes meet briefly, and his smile sends a warm flutter through my chest. It's too soon, we both know that. But there's something comforting in the way he looks at Minot, with pity or judgment, but with genuine admiration. He sees me as I am now, whole, strong, unbroken. As dusk settles over the city, I stand on the rooftop garden of my building. The lantern Mia gave me sits on the ledge, its soft light a beacon in the growing darkness. To guide you home, she'd said when she presented it, though we both knew I'd already found my way. Below, the last few attendees from today's support group mingle in the courtyard. Their voices drift up to me, carrying stories of survival, of hope, of transformation. I lift the lantern, watching its light dance against the deepening purple of the sky. What does freedom look like to you? I whisper to the city spread out before me, to the women gathering their strength below, to anyone who might be standing at their own crossroads tonight. The question hangs in the air, mingling with the soft music from the courtyard and the distant hum of traffic. My reflection in the rooftop's glass doors shows a woman I'm finally getting to know spine straight, eyes clear, heart open to whatever comes next. The lantern's light catches in my hair, creating a soft halo effect. I smile, recognizing the symbolism Mia intended with her gift. Sometimes we need someone else to light the way before we can become our own beacon. The city lights twinkle below, 1,000 tiny stars mirroring the ones emerging above. Each one represents a story, a struggle, a triumph. Mine is just one among many, but it's mine. Finally, completely, mine.